Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome back to the Debrief here on the Blood Red channel. I'm your host, Edward Kay. Joining me this evening is Matt Addison, and we're going to be going over Liverpool's 1-1 draw at Kenilworth Road against newly promoted side Luton Town. I mean, obviously, Luis Diaz managing to salvage a point for the Reds pretty late on, but it's still, in many ways, Matt, it still feels like a loss, doesn't it, really? I mean, it's hard not to see a result like that against a side of Luton's quality. I don't want to be disrespectful to them, but hard not to see a result like that as a bit of a setback, really, this season, isn't it? It feels like the sort of result we were used to seeing from Liverpool last season, but maybe not expecting that from this new look Liverpool this year.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the result. It wasn't the performance, was it? It's a nice moment, of course, for Luis Diaz, but I don't. We were just saying before we came on here, neither of us expected. I don't think anybody expected Liverpool to be quite that poor and struggle that much. It wasn't a massive shock first half that they, had to battle and had to sort of earn the right to play a little bit. But then I think the commentator on Sky said it at half time as they came out for the second half. Liverpool have done that a few times. They've kind of felt their way into games. They've had a first half where it's been all right, but it's not been anything special. And then they've just clicked up and gone up a couple of gears in the second half and gone on to win. But obviously didn't really do enough to be able to say that was really feeling like it was going to happen. I'm pleasantly surprised that they got back in after going 1-0 down. It kind of felt like a game where it was going to be 1-0 either way, and obviously Luis Diaz has stepped up. But I think that the only difference, I think, between that and some of the matches that they had against this kind of opposition, particularly away from home last season, really, the only difference is that they did create enough chances. They just missed those chances. I think if Darwin Nunez had maybe not been quite so poor today, then it could have been different. Gakpo was a little bit unlucky to have stepped in front of the ball when it landed a little bit behind him from, I think, a Harvey Elliott cross when he came on. But to me, you can't really look past the Nunez 1 yard out, puts it over the crossbar. If that goes in, as 99 times out of 100 it should, it's a completely different game from that point. So, yeah, nice for Luis Diaz to score, and obviously our thoughts remain with him, and it was a nice thing for him to have the T-shirt that he was wearing underneath and to send that message because of what's happened in Colombia. But yeah, for Liverpool, a really disappointing afternoon. And there were a couple of good performances, but unfortunately just far too many of them were way below the standard that we've come to expect.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point there, saying that, once it was 1-0 Luton, it didn't really feel like Liverpool were going to get back into it. And I completely agree. Couldn't really pinpoint why that was, but just didn't really feel like the sort of game where Liverpool were going to have a rousing comeback. And then obviously Luis Diaz scores, and as you say, what a moment for him. And all of a sudden it's like, there's a few minutes left here. Liverpool could still go on and win it. But I mean, that certainly would have felt like a bit of a robbery for Luton. We'll talk about sort of something that was harped on about a lot before the game, and it sort of is every time somebody's visiting Luton Town this season, but sort of the unique experience of Kenilworth Road. Obviously, people quick to emphasise that it's not really like any other ground in the Premier League or any ground that's been in the Premier League in recent years. Obviously, they made it really tough for us, did Luton, and I think probably the ground getting quite cramped, a lot of the crowd getting on top of you probably helped with that, and it continued in the second half. Chances were really hard to come by. So do you think there is something to be said for the impact of the ground on that?
I think you can maybe excuse that in the first half, but Liverpool ultimately a much better team. This is a Luton team that's got Andros Townsend playing on the right wing. There's players in there that they look to for their quality that wouldn't get anywhere near a Liverpool substitutes bench. They did the graphic on Sky before that Luton's net transfer spend since 1992 is less than what Liverpool signed Ryan Gravenberch for in the summer. I mean, it's an excuse to a certain point, but Liverpool should be able to score a couple of goals past this team. And it felt too much like an FA Cup tie to me. It was like an early round of the FA Cup where, the home crowd gets behind them. They're not particularly great, but, home advantage gives them a bit of a lift. And hopefully it can sort of be one where you feel your way in and Liverpool get used to it. The quality eventually shows. The home side put up a decent performance, but Liverpool get the win that they want. But it just didn't obviously happen like that in the end. It didn't really feel like it was going to either. But as I say, they had those chances. That it wasn't as if Liverpool struggled to the point of they didn't create anything and they were under the cosh. I think Luton scored basically from the one chance that they had, or clear-cut chance that they had, that there wasn't a great deal for Alisson to do. And Liverpool created, you'd probably say 6 or 7, maybe as many as that, where, on another day they could easily have scored one of those goals. They just didn't particularly show up in the final third, really. I think there was probably a bit of a below par performance for Salah and Szoboszlai as well. There's maybe a couple of moments in the final third where you just need to play the extra pass, or maybe make a slightly different decision to what they made. But that's what I come back to, really, is Liverpool had the opportunities. They didn't play well, but they still should have won that match. And ultimately, if you come away from a match and you've missed a couple of open goals, then you've only really got yourself to blame. I don't think, the poor standards of, the dressing room, or, the small stadium that it is, that's not really an excuse. Darwin Nunez should still score in that position. Liverpool should still be able to get that win. And, even if it takes, half an hour of being under the cosh, and then you eventually show what quality you've got, I think Liverpool have just got to be, they've got to be more consistent to be in the title picture. And I think this is probably a game that you would look back on and think, if Liverpool maybe get into the top 4 this season but fall a little bit short of the title, it'll be this kind of result that's why that's the case. Because we've seen, a good amount of consistency up to this point in the season, but I don't really think that this was excusable to any degree, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there about Salah and Szoboszlai, both a bit below par. I think Szoboszlai in particular, I know he gets a lot of praise on this channel. He's been fantastic since he come in, but I did think he was pretty pedestrian today. Didn't really get a hold of the game. But obviously, like you say, plenty of chances and half chances for Liverpool. The majority of those obviously fall into or being created by Darwin Nunez. I think inside the first 25 minutes, he'd had 5 or 6, fairly decent efforts at goal. Looked really dangerous. No real clear-cut misses until you get that one where obviously the Salah header, there's a question of offside. Nunez has put it over from about 2 yards out. It does look like Salah may well have been onside, so that could well be. I mean, if the offside flag doesn't go up, I think it looks a lot worse than it did end up looking. But that not a particularly great miss there. Could have done slightly better maybe in the first half with the one that he hit the bar with, just snatched at it slightly maybe. But another game where he's looked dangerous, obviously, but he's not grabbed a goal as he has been doing in the last few games at least.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we've been saying, isn't it? To be fair, you've seen him score, spectacular goals like he scored against Bournemouth. You've seen him, take the ball half the length of the pitch and make the right decision in certain moments. He's showing plenty of good signs, but then you just want him to score the easy ones as well, because if he does that, he's suddenly becoming a 30-plus goal a season striker. And the inconsistency is just a little bit frustrating. I think we've seen a massive step forward from him, but I think it's baffling. I've never seen a player quite like him, where he can do all of the spectacular stuff, but the really simple things. I mean, if that was any other Liverpool player on the pitch, and I include Alisson in that, I suspect that would have been in the back of the net. I honestly don't think any other Liverpool player would have missed from that position that he was in. And yet we know that he can put one in the top corner from 30 yards, having beaten 3 players and ran half the length of the pitch. It just doesn't make any sense at all. But I suppose the positive way of looking at it is he's in the right positions. You'd imagine at some point this kind of bizarre run that he's in of missing the easy ones, and it's only a couple of weeks ago since he missed his last open goal and set the Gravenberch goal up in the Europa League. It's not like this is a one-off. We've seen this for long enough now, but you'd have to think and you'd have to hope at some point he can start to put in the easy goals. And as long as he continues to do the other stuff as well, Liverpool will have a real top quality striker on his hands. But it's times like these where you just needed him to put that ball into the back of the net, and he only has to do it once. He's had, as you say, 6 or 7 opportunities there. Only one of those has to go in, and it's a completely different game for Liverpool, because I think if Liverpool go 1-0 up, I think they win that game, and it might finish 1-0, or they might go on and cement that. But the fact that Luton were able to go a goal ahead from the one chance that they got, they were clinical. Liverpool weren't, and that was the difference between the two teams. But yeah, Darwin Nunez is no less baffling than usual, but I've still got hope, and I've still got faith with them that Liverpool will see a really elite player emerge there. But it's just things like that you struggle to explain, when he can be so good at certain points and then just absolutely falls to pieces at certain other times. It's really hard to analyse it or put into words quite how he's managed to do that.
Yeah, still a work in progress, but he's nothing if not entertaining. I mean, looking at the positives to be taken from that game. I mean, like you said, we've touched on it before, but what a moment that is for Luis Diaz coming on. You know, I had in my notes as soon as he came on, sort of just to mention, you know, what a moment it was for him to just be able to be on the bench. Obviously, then getting 10 minutes, and then I don't think any of us saw that goal coming. Like you said, we thought it was probably going to stay 1-0 Luton, but what a moment for him to get a goal, given, as we say, everything he's been through. And I mean, if Liverpool can't take 3 points away from that game, then we'll certainly take that, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. He looked good when he came on as well. He looked sharp, and I was surprised that he was in the match day squad. Obviously, that was his decision. He felt that he was ready to be able to do that and play a part, and it's a good job in the end. It shouldn't have come to him needing to come on and save Liverpool. It shouldn't have come to that, obviously. But I think for him, it's obviously one of those things where he just, you know, needs a bit of a distraction. Jurgen Klopp spoke well before the game and kind of explained that, you know, he felt that he was ready. He is hearing positive things, so hopefully we get some good news on that front in the next couple of days, and you know that there can be, you know, a positive resolution to the bizarre situation that is unfolding. It must be so hard for him to concentrate and to focus on things like this. But I suppose it's the same for any job, isn't it? Sometimes you go through things in your own personal life where you do need a bit of a distraction, or you know, you just kind of feel that it would be better to have that rather than, you know, sitting there. And you know, it's not like he can necessarily do anything to help from where he is or whatever. So maybe it's a nice distraction for him, and I'm sure, you know, for the whole squad, it'll be a nice moment for, you know, Liverpool when they get over the disappointment and the frustration of the results. I'm sure they'll look back with fondness at that moment. And yeah, it was a really nice moment for him. Hopefully we don't have to talk about that for too much longer. Hopefully it all gets resolved and we can get back to focusing on just how good a footballer he is, because I do think Liverpool probably have missed him in the last couple of games, and I think we probably saw that again today until he came on. Maybe that left-hand side was just that little bit weak without him.
Yeah, spot on. Hopefully there is a speedy resolution to that situation and Luis Diaz can get back to doing what he does best, focusing on football and smashing in goals for Liverpool. But that is all we've got time for here on the debrief tonight. So, Matt, thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time.